Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Eelco. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be a commentary, review, reaction, topic, randomness, news, article, writing, whatever it may be. But this is for The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Now, I remember liking the first two Conjuring films. I don't own them. I haven't seen them in a while, but I do remember liking them. I remember the first one being better. I remember the second one being a step down, but being, I didn't mind it. I mean, I much prefer films like, and I don't even know if it's here. Yeah. I would say my preference for exorcism movies is this one. Deliver Us from Evil. This is more the exorcism film I'm into, because I like Eric Bana, I like Edgar Ramirez, I liked that it was about a New York police officer, and it was his point of view, so it was like a cop movie infused with an exorcism. Yeah, when you have exorcism type stuff, there's only so much you can do in terms of originality. There's only so many ways you can exorcise the demons of someone, and there's been such a gluttony of them. I can understand people say, well, there's not a whole lot new into this, but I thought it had enough tweets, it had enough cool little things. Like I said, the cast had a bit of action in there. Some pieces of the music, like the way it ends, I thought it ended on a nice note. It had, again, enough little nice tweaks that made it an enjoyable film by Scott Derrickson, who did the first Doctor Strange. But yeah, like Deliver Us from Evil was more my kind of exorcism film, or The Exorcist Part 3 with George C. Scott. I would say those are my two favorite films dealing with exorcism type stuff, but like I said, I didn't mind The Conjuring. I didn't mind The Conjuring 2. James Wan did a good job with them. In fact, I remember enjoying them more than Insidious. Now, with all that said, you get to this one, and this one, I don't know if this would be a raging rant or anything, but it was below mediocre. I mean, it wasn't really that. I mean, even The Wind is getting pissed off with this film, with its 20-mile-per-hour ends. Even it's getting a bit pissy, because this felt like a mediocre episode of The X-Files. And I love The X-Files. And the thing is, I can watch a mediocre episode of The X-Files and enjoy it because I love Mulder and Scully. And it's only 45 minutes long, and it's a TV, so you could forgive it more easily. While this is a mainstream film with a bigger budget and more running time, almost 2 hours. So that's a little less forgivable. Now, I think one of the reasons for that is because James Wan did not return to direct. Instead, he wanted to do this film, which was the right call. And, you know, James Wan got destroyed for doing this because they wanted him to do The Conjuring 3. They wanted him to do another ghost story. He's like, I've already done this movie. You know, I've already done it. I want to do something different. And that's why one of the multiple, various reasons why I enjoyed Malignant so much. I liked how different it was. But this, you get the guy who did La Llorona, Curse of La Llorona, whatever the hell that movie was. And why they got him, I don't know. It didn't at times feel like much of a horror film. It felt like kind of a meh procedural film. I mean, the little bit of the horror you did is like in the beginning, where you have the exorcism of this 8-year-old kid in 1981, and during the 10 minutes, I didn't mind the way it opened, where it showed sort of destruction, where there's scratches on the wall, and apparently a lot of shit went down, and they're right in the middle of exorcising this 8-year-old kid. Although they blatantly steal from The Exorcist. I mean, remember the shot of the poster of The Exorcist? Of course, it's in the movie. The cab dropping off The Exorcist, and you see his silhouette. They do like almost the same fucking shot in this movie. And then, remember in the extended cut of The Exorcist where Megan twisted like a pretzel, and here the kid really does twist like a pretzel. And because of the CGI parts, it made it look more laughable than it should. And then as this story went on, I went, wow, this seems familiar. I know it's based on true stories, how true that is, and the characters Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga played, the Warrens, were they full of crap in real life? Were they not full of crap? That's a whole conversation another day. Were they scam artists? Were they not? I mean, and that's a whole nother box to open up. But there was a movie done of this before. It was a TV movie that I did review called The Demon Murder Case in 1983, starring Kevin Bacon, and I think Andy Griffith was in a small part. As it was a TV movie, and Kevin Bacon played the teen, where this little boy had a demon, and then it went into the teen, and then he's acting weird. Even the job, cutting trees, trimming trees. Obviously, based on that story, this guy also is trimming the tops of trees. Kills the landlord, but he thought he was a demon, and there's a bit of a murder trial. You don't really get much of the trial in this. I mean, I wasn't really a fan of the demon murder case. I had a lot of issues with it. I probably would say I like this more just because it's just better looking visually, cinematography-wise. I mean, the other was a cheap made-for-TV movie, so that's not maybe a fair battle or fair comparison. But during this exorcism, Patrick Wilson has seen that the demon's transferring from the 8-year-old kid to this teen, the boyfriend of the little kid's sister, but he can't say anything because Patrick Wilson has a heart attack, he's in the hospital, that it takes time for him to recover, and when he does recover, he's able to tell his wife, Vera Farmiga, there's something up. And the first 30 minutes plays off of that. Again, the opening exorcism scene, the teen, everything thinks it's okay, we exorcised it. The teen guy's seen little weird stuff, thinks his landlord's a monster, finds out he killed him, is in jail. And then the rest of the film is Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson doing an investigation into how this came to be. And the investigation, sadly, is not that interesting. I mean, fuck, if you want to see more interesting investigation, go watch True Detective Season 1. And you know what? I need to get off my butt and get that film. I mean, get that show, whether on DVD or Blu-ray. Because I did enjoy that. I'm like, it reminded me of that because these two find these little totems. Just like Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson found these little totems. And here, spoiler alert, you find out it's a Satanist. It's a witch. It's some female lady. As opposed to, what, a male lady? Yeah, that makes sense. Female lady. I know, that was redundant. But it's just this lady who's a witch and a bitch. And the investigation just isn't that interesting. And that's when the horror is very mundane. And the few attempts at horror is very lackluster. I'm like, this doesn't nearly have any amount of style or intensity that James Wan could bring into, like he did in *Malignant* or even the first two Conjuring films. What? There's a flashback to when the kid first went... The 8-year-old kid was attacked in a waterbed, which made me think Freddy Krueger's going to come out and drag him, along with Joey. And the kid watches while Freddy tells Joey, "How's this for a wet dream?" When the guy's in prison, there's a bit where he's cleaning and mopping up, and he sees a guy sit up, and I think he's singing like a Blondie song, because that's the song he was listening to when he killed the monster, which was his landlord. I think it was Blondie. I can't remember what song it was. Maybe it wasn't Blondie. I forget what fucking song it was. I don't care. And the investigation is just... They're looking at papers, they find this totem, they talk to an old guy, he tells a bit of what it is, they find another murder, someone who was also stabbed 22 times, make the cop believe in them, go to the crime scene, Vera Farmiga's almost dragged off a cliff. Patrick Wilson helps her. And she's pretty much the dead zone, touches something and sees it all. So that kind of hampers in the intriguing part of investigation, which is, oh, I wonder how they don't figure it out. What clues? Well, she just touches it, and sees it. It takes a lot of the fun in an investigation angle. I know there's parts of that in the first two movies, to be fair, but when you try to delve more into that, it just... What other horror is there in the next hour? Because this is like a 2-hour movie. Okay, Vera Farmiga touches a dead body, and Patrick Wilson watches and turns, and there's a fat dead guy that goes after her. Patrick Wilson pulls Vera Farmiga, and the dead body goes down for the count. Or the witch fucks with Patrick Wilson and almost gets him to kill his wife. Even the finale is really lame. Like, the finale of the film is very lackluster and doesn't really amount to much of shit and squat. That's for me. The villain was really weak. You think of all these different types of ghosts and monsters and all this stuff, and it's just a witch Satanist. Looks like the girl from that Silent Hill movie that wanted to control the town. Or any other random old lady who just happens to be a witch. I'm like, really? This is what we're banking our villain on? I mean, you think of like how crazy the villain is in this, and then you go to this, and you're like, really? What was that one fucking weird... God, it's been a while since I've seen them. That thin... monster creatures, like the Thin Man thing. Was that in the Conjuring 2? If so, I mean, they could have done more with that creature. Like, I don't know. It's not like this shit's really 100% true anyway, let's be honest. There's not much in music to talk about. I don't think it need to be 2 hours. They don't delve into the courtroom drama stuff, which could be interesting, but I'm guessing they didn't do that. Which I figured that's why you would make a movie based on this in the first place, is to deal with the courtroom. That's how this case came to be. It was one of the first trials to deal with demon possession, or that was part of the defense. No. Maybe they thought it'd be too much of The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I remember not minding because of that. So maybe they thought, well, it'd just be a rip-off of that. Even though technically this story was before that. Listen, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, they do a good job as the leads. It seems like this should be decent because after the first 30 minutes, it's pretty much just the two of them following these leads. Once in a while cuts back to that teen guy in prison who is still a little bit possessed. And then back to our two leads, because this teen witch is cursing people, putting a curse on them for the shits and giggles for a demon. So technically the devil didn't make them do it, some random witch made them do it to satisfy a random demon. So technically the title's a lie, the devil didn't make them do it. I mean, with exorcism movies, I get it. There's only so much you can do. And it's an old, tired hat at this point. I get that. I mean, exorcism movies I enjoy. I like The Exorcist 3. Because I love George C. Scott and Brad Dourif's acting powerhouses going against each other head to head. And the conversation between those two guys, Brad Dourif and George C. Scott, really sells that film. Also, William Friedkin... Well, no, he directed the first one. I'm talking about William Peter Blatty, I should say. William Peter Blatty, for directing a film, he really went all out in terms of one of the best jump scares in films, and you know what I'm talking about, where that hallway scene and that That's how you do a jump scare. Or really creepy images and dreams and ideas, like George C. Scott's buddy having his blood drained and all the blood is in these little cups beside the bed. It's a very creepy idea. Like, The Exorcist 3 is really good. And I actually like this film. Deliverance from Evil by Scott Derrickson. Which, yes, people could watch it go, the ending of the film, it's, what more can you do with an exorcism? Have you seen one exorcism? You've seen them all. The cross, power of Christ compels you, all that jazz. But what I liked about this is, I liked that it was from the point of view of a New York police officer. It may not be completely original, different, unique, but there's enough little different tweaks here and there. There's some fight scenes, action bits. There was a decent cast. Eric Bana, I think, is one of his better roles as the cop. And yeah, I like that it was that sort of a cop point of view. Like, one of the reasons I love the first Power is you take that supernatural aspect, but you have it from a police officer's point of view. I like Edgar Ramirez as this priest who is not a typical goody-goody priest, and he was just a bit more of an interesting character than usual, Edgar Ramirez character. And I liked some of the atmosphere. The Scott Derrickson, who directed the first Doctor Strange. And there's definitely a decent budget behind it. I mean, it's produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. I always forget that. But yeah, this is one I did enjoy. Scary, I don't get scared by exorcism movies, but I thought this was... I did enough different tweets. I like the Moby song. The music, I should say. It's not a song, but a piece of music. Beautiful music in the finale. Like I said, enough little tweets here and there to make it entertaining. Again, one of those exorcism films I did quite enjoy. I'll talk more about that than this. Because other than maybe some bits in the opening, it felt very mundane. Hell, that'd probably be parts of this film that remind you of Amityville 2, The Possession. Which I'd probably say even that's probably a better movie than this. Like I said, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson do the best they can. They have some little nice heartwarming moments. But on the flip side, with Patrick Wilson's character, because the character has a heart attack, he can't do a whole lot because his character is supposed to be on a cane, walking with a cane. And really it amounts to him kind of getting possessed twice. Not once, but twice, trying to kill his wife. And like I said, the finale just felt very weak compared to the finales of the first two. They didn't have that intensity. They didn't have that impactful factor. It just felt like, okay, this seems like a franchise that's run its course, as bereft of the intense energy that the first two perhaps helped create. Like I say, why go with this story if you're not going to go with the whole courtroom, the defense of this teen who said demonic possession, to go on that route? Like I said, the last 2/3 of the film, it just felt like a lesser episode of The X-Files. And I'm like, I wish Mulder and Scully was in this. And again, the villain was weak. It's just some lady who's a witch and put a curse. And it seems like a type of lady I've seen in a dozen other horror films of this ilk or not. And there wasn't really anything creepy about this. There wasn't really anything scary about it. There's no visuals that I could point out and go, yeah, that was a good visual and that was a good trick. Not really. Not really. I mean, James Wan's... his type of direction is very much missed in this kind of movie. Like, you could tell what he did in the first two, and then this director this Jamoke. The Curse of La Rosa. Is that just sort of the worst of all those Conjuring Universe movies? Annabelle and all that shit? The Curse of Fa La 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 La, whatever the hell. Is that considered the worst one? So yeah, I mean, is this a rant? I mean, I guess so. It's not a raging rant, but I would say maybe the more I think about it, it would be a rant, because I don't have fire or energy of anger, but this was just rather boring. It was rather boring. And there's just better exorcism of Emily Rose you could watch. The Conjuring 1 and 2 you could watch. Hell, check out Deliver Us from Evil. I don't think it's scary, but I don't think many of these movies are scary, but I did think Eric Bana did a good job as the cop. I like that point of view of seeing this stuff from a cop's perspective. I thought the cast, like Edgar Ramirez and Joel McHale, yeah, she did a good job in this. There's some nice style and direction by Scott Derrickson. There's a couple of decent practical makeup effects. Again, it might not be anything new. I forgot he directed The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Scott Derrickson. I forgot he directed that. Huh. Like I said, if you ever watch this, it's not going to blow your mind in originality. I just think it was, for what it was supposed to do, it was well done for. It was fun to me. I was entertained. Unlike this. Again, first two Conjuring films, pretty decent still. This one, I stepped out. I would think, if I was a big hardcore fan of Conjuring 1 and 2, I think it'd be much more rage. I think, like my friend Michael CP, yeah, I like the films. I think he's a bigger fan of those films. I think he would be pissed with this film. OCP Communications, Mike. I know my friend Michael Teen, the choice was he didn't like this film. It was on his list of the worst. It wouldn't make my worst list of 2021. Like I said, at least Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson and a couple alright shots make it at times tolerable. Because those are two good actors. But yeah, just go watch True Detective Season 1. Just go watch various other procedural movies, though, you'll get more out of. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.